Part 17. My Retirement Life in Neon. Author, Wu Nangkuang Song. Chapter 161. No need. Lin Zion stopped Michiko Oda. I've washed it, just rinse it with water later. Huh. Oda Reina looked at Lin Zion in confusion and asked, what are you doing, Ani-chan? Why do you still need to take a shower? A big boss is inviting me to dinner. Lin Zion lay down on the sofa. The environment there is really nice and comfortable. But why do you need to take a shower after eating? Oda Reina came closer to Lin Zion and took a sniff, but found no strange smell. Isn't it normal to relax after a meal? Lin Zion replied casually, and the service there is very good and unique. What's the specialty? Michiko Oda was a little curious. Isn't eating just about eating? What other tricks can you do? Eating there is not just about eating, but also other entertainment activities. Other activities? Michiko Oda looked at Lin Zion strangely. Kingtian-kun, please pay attention to your safety. Safety? Lin Zion didn't know why she suddenly mentioned this, but she explained it anyway. Everyone who goes there has a certain identity. If no one takes me there, I won't be able to get in at all, so I don't have to worry about safety issues. Why did Oni-chan go to a place like that? Oda Reina looked a little angry. She had waited for so long, but he actually went to play and didn't come back until now. Lin Zion simply dealt with it and went back to his room to sleep, because he had to go to class tomorrow. But before going to bed, Lin Zion still had to wait for Kingsun to come back. He wanted to know what happened next in the Jase family. He and Yukino Tekkai left after revealing the incident. After all, it was their family matter, and it was a bit awkward for two outsiders to be around. But Lin Zion always felt a little awkward, as if something was wrong, but he couldn't tell. Kingsun came back earlier than he expected, coming back before 1 o'clock. How is it? Lin Zion put down Ziobai. This time it was his turn not to let Ziobai sleep. That person is imprisoned now. They don't have any strange behavior. Except for those few people, no one else knows about it. Shigeki Chihiro didn't understand why Lin Zion still paid attention to the Gaoshi family. If she's worried, wouldn't it be enough to just ask her to kill them? Why do she have to do this? Are those two monks dead too? Lin Zion touched Xiaobai on his hand, his eyes dull, as if he was thinking about something. How did the master know? Kingsun looked quite surprised. She knew that the two people were cold, but she didn't think it was important and didn't say anything. But Lin Zion was not there, so how did he know? She even wondered if Lin Zion had a ghost outside. It's easy to guess. Seeing Kingsun's reaction, Lin Zion explained, they know too much. Neither the Jase family nor Sui Tekkai want them to live. Do those count? Kingsun suddenly didn't understand. They didn't know much, and they even received a beating. Don't think about it, you won't understand the thoughts of those rich people, and neither do I. Seeing Kingsun's tangled look, Lin Zion couldn't help but smile and persuade her. Master, it's time to get up. Well, that little kid didn't come to call me today? I'm so happy. Lin Zion turned over on the bed. What is Lina doing now? She's not awake yet. Kingsun answered his question calmly at the bedside as always. She must have gone to bed too late last night. It's my turn to wake her up today. Lin Zion got out of bed. Walking to Oda Reina's room, Lin Zion knocked on the door and said, get up, the sun is shining on your butt. Lingne, Lin Zion called several times but got no response, so he just opened the door and said, I'm coming in. As soon as he entered, he saw a big bulge on Oda Reina's bed, and it looked like she had shrunk in. It's not good to sleep like this. Lin Zion walked over and opened the quilt, and a face hugger rushed out. Unfortunately, it was of no use. Lin Zion pushed her back to the bed with one hand. It was funny. She would have to practice for several years to sneak attack Lin Zion. Ani-chan bullied me. Oda Reina rolled on the bed. You are a girl, so you have to pay attention to your image. Lin Zion couldn't help but shake his head when he saw her wearing suspender pajamas and shorts like this. Humph. Oni-chan didn't pay attention to her image and came to someone else's room without wearing underwear. Reina hugged the pillow and looked at him with contempt. Hey. What do you mean not wearing underwear? I'm obviously wearing shorts. Lin Zion was almost frightened by her mouth. He has a habit that he developed in his previous life, which is not wearing underwear when sleeping. After all, such things did not exist at that time. Of course, you still have to wear it on a daily basis. In the past, Otarina went to wake him up every day, and after a long time, she discovered the secret that was not a secret. Now that I'm up, I'm going out. Lin Zion didn't bother to tell her. If he continued to linger, he would be late. He either doesn't go to school, but if he does, he can't be late. As soon as Lin Zion turned around, Otarina launched an attack, jumping from the bed onto Lin Zion's back, but Lin Zion was afraid that she would fall and did not dodge, but let her lie on it. What do you want to do again? Oni-chan came back so late last night. I'm going to punish you by carrying me on your back. Otarina put her hands around Lin Zion's neck. I'm telling you, it'll be over when your mother comes up and sees you. Come down quickly. Lin Zion patted her hand. I don't want it. Otarina hugged her even tighter and said in Lin Zion's ear, have you been avoiding me these days, Oni-chan? As soon as she said this, Lin Zion understood that he had no time to accompany her these days, so he had a temper. But there were some things he couldn't tell her, so he could only explain, I also have my own things to do. I know I didn't want to trouble Oni-chan. Otarina took the initiative to get off his back, and then dragged his hand, but Oni-chan, can you not go to that kind of place in the future? Why? Aren't you just going to have a meal? This is a normal social interaction. Lin Zion thought he didn't take her to eat, so he wasn't allowed to go by himself. There's no reason, I just can't go. Otarina suddenly became a little excited, but she quickly calmed down. I heard others say those places are very messy. Oh, so Arlene is worried about me. Lin Zion smiled, but don't worry, the ones I go to are all very high-end and won't cause chaos. You can't go even if you're a senior. Otarina hugged him directly and buried her head into his arms. Oni-chan, Rina can give it to you if you want it. Don't go to that kind of place, okay? My Retirement Life in Neon. Author, Wu Nangkuang Song. Chapter 162. Huh? Lin Zion took Otarina out of his arms and asked, what do you mean? Although Reina is still young, I can help with my hands. I can't help you. Lin Zion hit her head hard. Who did you learn this from? You think about these things all day long. Ah, why are you hitting me? Otarina covered her head and shouted, they all said so. Men are like this when they go to that kind of place. I really just went to have a meal, believe me. Lin Zion was really stupid. Are all the girls nowadays so open? Chat about these things. Really? Otarina covered her head and looked up at Lin Zion sideways. Isn't this nonsense? Am I that bad? I can find a girlfriend anytime I want. Lin Zion didn't want to pay attention to her anymore. Hurry up and change your clothes. I won't wait for you later. Oni-chan is so lazy that you can't find a girlfriend. Otarina smiled brightly. She knew what Lin Zion was like at school. Except for the blind Hosokawa Ryo, no one would like him. As for Ryo Hosokawa, she was even less anxious. She was now living with Lin Zion, and where was Ryo Hosokawa now? With such a good starting condition, how could she lose? Get lost. Lin Zion walked out of the room quickly. This Otarina was too naughty, and it was uncomfortable to talk to her. Ota Michiko looked at the smiling Otarina and the black-faced Lin Zion and knew that the two of them were quarreling again. And it seemed that Reina had provoked Qing Tianjun again. Thinking of this, Ota Michiko was angry and wanted to laugh. She was angry that Reina was causing trouble all day long, and she laughed that Lin Zion was actually bullied by Reina. Ota Michiko really laughed as she thought about it. What are you laughing at? Lin Zian didn't understand why Oda Michiko suddenly laughed. No. Nothing. Oda Michiko suppressed her smile, quickly finished her breakfast, and turned into the kitchen. Inexplicable, Lin Zian murmured. Hurry up, Ani-chan, we're going to be late. Oda Reina dragged her school bag to the door, looking at Lin Zian, who was putting on shoes. Why are you in a hurry? I didn't see you in a hurry just now. Lin Zian put on his shoes slowly, and just as he walked out of the door, he looked up and saw that he turned back. What are you doing, Ani-chan? Hurry up. Oda Reina was outside and stamped her feet anxiously when she saw him go in again. Lin Zian took out two umbrellas, one large and one small. The large one was the black straight umbrella, and the small one was the folding umbrella that Oda Reina had used before, which she brought over from there. Take it. Lin Zian threw the small one to her. It's not raining, why do you need to bring an umbrella? Oda Reina complained. Ani-chan, can't you just bring it? Her school bag already had a lot of things, and putting an umbrella in it would be a little heavier, and even if it rained, she could go and use Lin Zian's umbrella. Wouldn't that be better? Why bring an umbrella? Just bring it when I tell you to. Why are you talking so much nonsense? You can take mine too. Seeing how lazy she was, Lin Zian simply let her take his. Ah no. Oda Reina reluctantly took the umbrella. With her height, it would drag on the ground no matter how she carried it, so she just carried it like a gun. That funny look was like a joke. A walking joke. Passers-by looked at her and pointed at her. Lin Zian felt a little embarrassed walking with her, but she didn't feel it, just grinning foolishly. Take it. Lin Zian took the straight umbrella. What are you doing, Ani-chan? I'll take it. Although Oda Reina said that, she didn't stop Lin Zian from taking the umbrella, but smiled slyly. He knew Reina did it on purpose. Sure enough, punishing her was punishing himself. During class, Lin Zian looked out the window. As expected, raindrops began to fall from the sky. Although they were still small, it looked like they would last a long time. Because of the rain, Oda Reina had to eat in the classroom, and Yutsuki Hideki didn't come, and he didn't bring his own lunch, which meant he had to eat in the cafeteria. But what Lin Zian didn't expect was that Hosokawa Ryo pulled a stool to sit in his place and took out her 5-layer lunchbox. We also prepared a portion for Qingtian today. Hosokawa Ryo sat down generously and said to Lin Zian with a smile. Oh, okay. Lin Zian felt like she had become a different person, and he could only nod woodenly, a little overwhelmed. They were okay. It wasn't the first time they had eaten together, but Shadiao classmate had an orgasm. Hey, look, how come they are together? Didn't he like Tsuji Tomi? He was beaten for that. Maybe he knew it was impossible for him, so he changed to someone who was similar to him. I thought he was pretty handsome at first, but I didn't expect someone else to get him first. Haha, if you like him, go and try. That bumpkin can't beat you. Haha. Forget it, I still like Class E Ikamori Hiroichi. Yeah. He was so handsome when I saw him playing basketball in sports class. They knew that the two had a good relationship, but both of them were marginal figures in the class, so no one paid attention to them. But now it seems that the relationship between the two is not ordinary. Some things are viewed differently in Japan from the perspective of Japanese people. For example, if a man and a woman eat together, they think they are in love. In fact, Lin Zian has always been very careful with Hosokawa Ryo. After all, he knows what his reputation is in school. Since Hosokawa Ryo wants to be the class monitor, she must want to expand her social circle. He doesn't want to affect her reputation. But Lin Zian doesn't understand her actions today. Is it a self-explosion? Of course, Lin Zian doesn't understand Hosokawa Ryo. She ran for class monitor at that time because she wanted to overcome her weakness of being afraid of others and make more friends. But now she hasn't won the key to overcome Qingtian classmate, so she doesn't care about other people. But now Hosokawa Ryo doesn't care, so Lin Zion won't be polite. The two of them started eating, but they still restrained themselves a little in the classroom and didn't talk much. After eating, Lin Zion was really embarrassed, so he helped her wash the lunch box. Qingtian classmate was really too gentle, and Hosokawa Ryo watched Lin Zion wash the lunch box. She didn't know that Lin Zion was going to escape. Really, you will know after you have experienced it, it is so embarrassing, those silly classmates are so silly. Lin Zion really wants to stand up and say it's none of your business, you just talk nonsense all day long. But this is unrealistic, he still has to take care of Ryo Hosokawa's feelings. Lin Zion is unhappy with the silly classmates, but Ryo Hosokawa is quite grateful for their help and help them to establish their relationship directly. Of course, it is better to confirm sovereignty in front of silly classmates as soon as possible. Unfortunately, this is just her unilateral idea. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. My Retirement Life in Neon. Author, Wu Nangkuang Song. Chapter 163. When Lin Zion returned to the classroom, Hosokawa Ryo had already returned to his seat, and most of the silly classmates had also settled down. After all, they also had to eat and take a nap. Lin Zion also returned to his seat obediently. He had originally wanted to ask for a bed in the health room for a long-term nap, but it seemed too much, so he gave up. The rain outside was getting heavier and heavier, hitting the window and making a crackling sound. In the end, nothing outside the window could be seen clearly, only a white haze. This situation lasted until school was over. This rain was still a bit of a sign, because the weather was originally gray today, so everyone took out their umbrellas and went wherever they should go. But there are always people who forget, such as Tsuji Tomi. In the past, she would not stay after school. She was the secretary of the student union, so her tasks were heavier than those of ordinary members, but today she did not leave. You don't have to think about it to know that she didn't bring an umbrella. This rain is not friendly to people who don't bring umbrellas, even if the rain has been much lighter. Soon, only he, Hosokawa Ryo, and Tsuji Tomi were left in the classroom. He didn't know why Tsuji Tomi didn't use his licking dog group. Those people would lend her an umbrella even if they got wet. She didn't need to wait here at all, and she had a driver. It shouldn't be difficult to ask the driver to bring an umbrella. But this was none of Lin Zion's business. Didn't Ryo bring an umbrella? Lin Zion walked over and asked when he saw that she hadn't taken out the umbrella. Well, I forgot to bring it, Hosokawa Ryo nodded. She did bring it, but she certainly couldn't say that. She was still thinking about sharing an umbrella with Lin Zion. Unlock the scene that was not successfully unlocked last time, walking in the rain with Qingtian, the two of them leaning on each other. It's okay, Lin Zion waved his hand, I still have an umbrella. Well, Hosokawa Ryo just thought Lin Zion was going to invite her to go together, but he didn't expect him to say this. Why did Qingtian bring two umbrellas? Hosokawa Ryo couldn't figure it out. How could someone bring two umbrellas? That one is always kept at school, so that even if I forget to bring an umbrella, I can still use it, Lin Zion explained. He has always been a person who plans ahead. He put an umbrella in the locker in the classroom to avoid the situation of Tsuji Tomi. Okay, Hosokawa Ryo was speechless, but then she thought, Qingtian is really a careful boy, and he will definitely be very happy in the future. Tsuji Tomi, who was listening to the two people talking, felt that Lin Zion's words were directed at her. She was really unlucky today. When she came, her car broke down and she had to walk to school. It was raining now, and more importantly, she didn't bring an umbrella. As for the dog-licking group that Lin Zion thought of, she never admitted it. They formed it privately, and she didn't want to contact those people at all. Lin Ziyan walked to the locker at the back and took out an umbrella. When passing by Tsuji Tomi, Lin Ziyan said sarcastically, "If Rio hadn't brought hers, I would have lent you this umbrella. You're such a bad person for flirting with me in front of your girlfriend." Tsuji Tomi glanced at him with extreme contempt, and her disdain was evident. Lin Ziyan didn't continue to talk to her, but just smiled. It's okay to mock her, there's no need to continue bullying her. Oh, and there's Tsuji Tomi. Hosokawa Ryo only remembered her existence now. As long as Tsuji Tomi took the umbrella, I could be with Ching Tian. Thinking of this, Hosokawa Ryo hurried to Lin Ziyan and stopped him. "Ching Tian, let's give this umbrella to Tsuji." Times 2. Not only was Lin Ziyan shocked, but even Tsuji Tomi didn't understand what she was thinking. "Why? I don't want to." The two said it almost at the same time, and then they looked at each other again, and then quickly separated. Hosokawa Ryo looked at the two people and smiled. She suddenly felt that Lin Ziyan was very cute. "Don't be like this, we are all in the same class, we are all friends, we should help each other." "Who is friends with him?" Lin Ziyan didn't react much, but Tsuji Tomi's reaction was intense. She remembered that Lin Ziyan had secretly photographed him before, and the more she thought about it, the angrier she got. Hosokawa Ryo was frightened by her sudden shout and jumped back a step. Behind her was the table of the person in front. Just as they were about to collide, Tsuji Tomi, who was sitting in the seat, just stretched out her hand to her, and Hosokawa Ryo was pulled by Lin Ziyan. "Hey! Are you okay?" Tsuji Tomi didn't expect Hosokawa Ryo to be so timid that she could be scared even if she spoke loudly. "I'm fine, Ching Tian is here." Hosokawa Ryo's face was a little shy. "Ching Tian just held my hand. Let's go." She doesn't appreciate it. Lin Ziyan didn't let go, but pulled her away directly. "Hey, wait!" Hosokawa Ryo actually grabbed him and pushed him back. Although Lin Ziyan didn't use force, it was also a very scary thing. "Wait a minute." Hosokawa Ryo took the umbrella from Lin Ziyan and put it on Tsuji Tomi's desk. "This umbrella is for Tsuji classmate." Yet although Tsuji Tomi was a little reluctant, she spoke softly, for fear of scaring Hosokawa Ryo again, and Hosokawa Ryo spoke softly, which made people have no resistance at all. "Let's go." Seeing that Tsuji Tomi accepted, Hosokawa Ryo happily dragged Lin Ziyan away. She was afraid that if she walked slower, she would miss the opportunity. "Hey! Slow down." Lin Ziyan was dragged to the door by him, and then he was pushed out. Hosokawa Ryo still closed the door. Lin Ziyan was also convinced. "Last time you just gave me an umbrella, but this time you gave me one as a gift. You gave me my umbrella as a gift. What do you mean by driving me out now?" "No peeking." Hosokawa Ryo warned Lin Ziyan before entering the classroom. And who is Lin Ziyan, who would listen to her? "I won't peek, I'll eavesdrop on the head office." "Jinzi-san, I'm very sorry. Kingtian-san is a sharp-tongued person. Please don't blame him, Jinzi-san. He also asked me to give you this umbrella." "What do you mean?" "I was responsible for your previous conflicts. I apologize to you here and hope you can forgive him." "Hey! What kind of conflict do we have?" Tsuji Tomi thought that Hosokawa Ryo knew that Lin Ziyan secretly photographed her, so he strongly denied it. Snort. "He also said that he would keep it a secret for me, and I would definitely settle the score with you," Jinzi Fujiang thought angrily. "That's fine, let's go first." Hosokawa Ryo hurried out. She was afraid that Lin Ziyan would leave first. Today is also the first update. Anyway, less than 10 people have subscribed, but I still want to say that the recent environment, as everyone knows, is not very good, so if we resume the second update, we will have to wait until the end of the month to see the situation. My Retirement Life in Neon. Author, Wu Nangkuang Song. Chapter 164. Did you peek? Hosokawa Ryo pushed the door open and walked out, holding her school bag behind her back. "Let's go, Reina has been waiting for a long time." Lin Zion did not answer her. He did not expect Hosokawa Ryo to apologize to Tsuji Tomi for him. Not to mention that he was not wrong, and their problem was not because of her. But Lin Zion did not know how to say it. Others have done this, and it is none of your business to tell them. That kind of scene is embarrassing just to imagine, so it is better to slip away first. The two came to the junior high school. Because it was raining, Reina did not wait outside. Lin Zion asked her to come down when they were almost there. When Oda Reina came down and saw Hosokawa Ryo and Lin Zion sharing an umbrella, she was so angry. That position was obviously mine. Oda Reina was ready to lie to Lin Zion for this position, saying that her umbrella was missing. Just when she was about to use this excuse to share an umbrella with Lin Zion, who knew? Didn't Senior Hosokawa bring an umbrella? Oda Reina pretended not to care and asked casually. "Yes, it's thanks to Qingtian, otherwise I don't know what to do." Hosokawa Ryo said so, but the smile on her face was particularly dazzling in Oda Reina's eyes. "Then my umbrella is for you." Oda Reina took out the umbrella and said unabashedly, "Let's leave now, Oni-chan." "Why?" Hosokawa Ryo did not show weakness, holding her school bag in one hand and climbing on Lin Zion's hand with the other. In other situations, she might be timid, but she was not panicked in front of a sister like Reina, and Lin Zion was right next to her, so she was not afraid of anything happening. "Because I am a younger sister, and Senior Hosokawa is just a classmate, it's not good for the two of you to walk together." Oda Reina knew that if she wanted Hosokawa Ryo to give up, she had to play to her identity advantage. "Not really, Reina's height will definitely get wet if she walks with Qingtian." Seeing that she was using her identity to pressure her, Hosokawa Ryo had to use her weakness to speak, and it was also a fact that Oda Reina and Lin Zion would really get wet if they walked together. "Ah!" Oda Reina gnashed her teeth in anger. She hated it most when people talked about her height. "You bullied me." Oda Reina rushed into the rain alone. "Hey! Don't go." Hosokawa Ryo also realized that she seemed to have said too much, but at this time Reina had already run out, so she could only look at Lin Zion with a look of help. Lin Zion looked in the direction where Oda Reina went and said lightly, "It's okay, I'll take you home first." "What about Reina?" "Qingtian classmate should go find her first, I can go back by myself." Hosokawa Ryo was a little embarrassed, she didn't expect Reina to run away. "She will go home, let's go." Lin Zion didn't care. He had already asked Chihiro to go with him, so nothing serious would happen. And Reina has been too naughty these days, and she can't be spoiled anymore. Originally, Hosokawa Ryo thought that it would be nice to share an umbrella with Lin Zion, but now she only thought about whether Reina had returned home. If something happened, she would really feel guilty for the rest of her life. The more she thought about it, the more panic she felt. She couldn't feel the feeling of walking with Lin Zion at all. Lin Zion didn't say anything along the way. The two of them just walked like this until they arrived at the house rented by Hosokawa Ryo. "Aoda-kun, remember to tell me when Reina returns home." "Got it." Lin Zion waved his hand and left without waiting for Hosokawa Ryo to say anything. I still have to find someone, so troublesome." Lin Zion knew from Chihiro that Reina didn't go home, but was wandering outside. In this weather, isn't it obvious that she is looking for trouble for him? If her mother knew about it, she would say, it would be really troublesome. In the rain, Oda Reina walked alone. She regretted it as soon as she ran out. Wasn't she giving them a chance? But she was afraid that she would be laughed at by Hosokawa Ryo if she turned back. She didn't dare to go back to her house. She was so willful that she was afraid of being blamed by Lin Zion, so she had to walk aimlessly like this. Her shoes were wet, and water poured in with every step and was squeezed out. Her small umbrella was like a small fishing boat in a storm in the heavy rain, shaking and almost overturned several times. In this degree of rain, A small umbrella is of no use at all, and it is more of a psychological comfort. Soon, the school uniform was also wet, and Odorena had to stop under the eaves on the roadside. It was not only the umbrella that dripped, but also her clothes. Oni-chan, you big fool, don't come to see me, Odorena complained while squeezing out the water from her clothes. Why hasn't Oni-chan come yet? She looked up and saw that everything around her was white. There was no one on the street, only cars passing by splashed a lot of water. Where is this? Odorena only realized now that she was lost. She hadn't been out for a long time. She took the same route to and from school every day. She just walked around in a hurry. Now this place is not a place she is familiar with at all. Odorena held her mobile phone tightly. The mobile phone was placed in her school bag, so it was not wet. But after picking up the phone, she didn't dare to call Linzian, let alone call home. Oni-chan, Odorena was no longer angry. The wet clothes were taking away her body temperature. She felt cold and had to hug herself tightly. She felt weaker and weaker. Thinking of Ryo Hosokawa leaning on Linzian and the scene of the two walking together, Odorena gradually squatted down, and grievances filled her heart. What are you doing again? Why don't you go home? A dark shadow covered Odorena. Hearing the familiar voice, Odorena looked up and saw Linzian. She suddenly rushed into Linzian's arms. She couldn't hold back her tears anymore and burst into tears, but her tears were soon diluted by the sound of rain until they were covered. Why did you come now? Don't you want Reina? Reina said with a choked voice. Don't cry, I'm here now, Linzian stroked her head. Woo. The more Linzian said, the more she cried, so Linzian had to let her do it. It wasn't until more than 10 minutes later that she gradually restrained herself. Seeing this, Linzian separated her, squatted down, and said mischievously, it's good now, we are all wet, don't explain to your mother. Odorena realized it and hurriedly looked at Linzian. There was indeed a large pool of watermarks on his body, which should have been caused when she hugged him just now. I'm sorry, Oni-chan. It's okay, I'll tell you a story. Linzian smiled and said, when I was a kid, I was afraid of thunder and lightning on rainy days, so every time it rained, I would hide in my bed at home, but later I was not afraid anymore. Do you know why? Odorena didn't understand why Linzian said this, but she also shook her head and said, I don't know. Because I know lightning won't strike me. Seeing that she didn't understand, Linzian added, if it doesn't strike me, there's nothing to be afraid of. My Retirement Life in Neon. Author, Wu Nangkuang Song. Chapter 165. When he was mentally retarded, he was really afraid of thunder and lightning. The experience in his previous life was imprinted on his soul, but he was able to quickly eliminate that fear after he woke up. This was due to his unparalleled trust in himself and strong self-confidence. Let's go home. Linzian took Odorena's little hand, and life always had to go on. When the two returned home, they were both wet. Linzian was better, but Odorena was really wet. Why are you two like this? Oda Michiko was still shocked when she saw it. After all, she was her daughter, and she felt distressed. It's okay, Linzian waved his hand, take Reina to take a bath first, otherwise it will be troublesome if she catches a cold again. Oni-chan is also wet, what are you going to do? Odorena said in front of her mother, why don't we take a bath together, otherwise we will catch a cold. Her words scared Linzian, but Oda Michiko didn't react much, just looked at him. I'm going to make ginger soup, you take a bath quickly. Linzian slipped into the kitchen. Michiko Oda looked at Linzian, who was running away, and said to Reina with a smile, you bully Qingtian all day long. One day when he gets angry, you will regret it. No, Oni-chan is the best. In fact, if he wanted to, he could easily steam off the moisture on his body, but doing so would be too conspicuous. He should just go to the kitchen honestly. He couldn't stay outside anymore. Lin Zion had just finished taking a shower. As soon as he took out his mobile phone, he saw that Tsuji Tomi sent him a series of questions, asking him why Hosokawa Ryo knew about them. Lin Zion answered her no and threw the phone aside. He didn't have time to tell her this now. He had just told Hosokawa Ryo that Reina had returned home and told her not to worry. Then he returned to his original life. A new day, Lin Zion returned to school as usual. Before entering the classroom, he had to change into indoor shoes on the first floor of the teaching building. This ordinary action was not so ordinary today. Because there was a letter in his shoe cabinet besides shoes. Lin Zion picked up the envelope curiously. It didn't say who wrote the letter or who it was addressed to. He opened it and saw only one sentence. "Wait for me on the rooftop after school." The tone of the sentence sounded like Gong Zong Liwi, but Lin Zion was sure that the handwriting was not hers. As for whose? First of all, that person must be from the school. It is difficult for outsiders to enter this school. Then, judging from the handwriting, it should be a woman, but it is not ruled out that the handwriting was deliberately disguised. Then, that person knew the location of his shoe cabinet and should have observed him or was familiar with him. Lin Zion thought about the people who had crossed paths with him, but ruled them out one by one. Now there are only two people who are most likely, either Gong Zong Liwi or Tsuji Tomi. Because among the people Lin Zion knows, Gong Zong Liwi likes to go to the rooftop, and there is Tsuji Tomi who had a dispute yesterday. She may want to make trouble. After he goes to the rooftop, a large group of licking dog group rushed out to beat him and defend their goddess. Of course, the biggest possibility is that someone else stuffed it into the wrong place, and then he was self-indulgent. This kind of thing is not uncommon. A few days ago, he saw a boy in their class receive a love letter and excitedly went on a date, but he came back not long after, saying that the person sent it to the wrong person, and the other party was also a man, which was the most terrible. Lin Zion took a photo of the envelope and put it back in the shoe cabinet. This is evidence and cannot be thrown away. It is also reasonable if something happens. Lin Zion was so bored during class that he simply asked Jinji Tomi on his mobile phone because he wanted to go home early after school. If there is something, he should talk it out now, otherwise the revenge will never end. "I apologize for what happened yesterday, but I really didn't tell Rio about it." Although it was after class, Jinji Tomi didn't play with her mobile phone after class. She always chatted with those people, so Lin Zion's message fell into the sea and she didn't reply to him until the next class was over. Then why did Hosokawa know? What did she tell you? She said about our conflict, didn't she? She was talking about the time I was beaten at the beginning of the school term. Lin Zion was really convinced. Although he knew yesterday that she might have misunderstood, he still wanted to complain. Does that have anything to do with Hosokawa? Isn't it just that you want to be lazy and play dead to win sympathy? And it involves me. Tsuji Tomi became more and more angry. That time, she really asked someone to move the books randomly, but she just asked him because she thought Lin Zion looked familiar. I didn't expect that he not only refused, but also caused such a thing. What did you fight with others because you like her, making her laughed at for a month? What? It was obviously you who forced me first. If you talk nicely, do I want to do that? And you ask someone to beat me. How could I ask someone to beat you? Explain it clearly. It was obviously you who took a sneak shot of me. Tsuji Tomi typed faster and looked back at Lin Zion frequently. She also looked at her supporting roles curiously. Don't look at me, look at your phone. Tell me first, how could I ask someone to beat you up? Isn't this what you put in my shoe cabinet this morning? Lin Zion sent the picture from this morning. I have never written such a thing, let alone given it to you. That's fine. Lin Zion put down his phone, eliminated one, and there was still one left. He could put down his phone, but Tsuji Tomi couldn't. Lin Xian's attitude of calling her and dismissing her annoyed her. What did the thing in the photo he sent just now mean? Tsuji Tomi thought about it and looked at Hosokawa Ryo. Lin Xian chatted with Miyazaki Ri again and found that it was not her either. Who was it then? Lin Xian sat back in his seat, his eyes fixed on the ceiling. After class, Hosokawa Ryo ran over and said to him, "Qingtian classmate, I have something to do today so I won't go home with you." After saying that, she left without giving Lin Xian any time to react. Lin Xian was a little depressed. He originally wanted her to take Reina home, but now he had to think about it again. It was troublesome. Lin Xian had to tell Reina to let her go first or wait for him. He was not afraid that Reina would leave by herself. After all, there was a tool man, Shigeki Chihiro, so nothing would happen. As for him, he wanted to see who that person was. There was a lot of people going downstairs after school, so he couldn't go against the flow, so he had to wait until everyone was gone before leaving. When he came to the top floor, Lin Xian was familiar with the place, but the door to the rooftop was not closed this time. He tried and twisted the door open. When he pushed the door open, he saw a figure standing on the edge of the rooftop. "Who are you? Why did you call me here?" "Me." The man turned and looked at Lin Xian. "I'm your fiancé. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment." My Retirement Life in Neon. Author, Wu Nangkuang Song. Chapter 166. It's you. Lin Xian thought of many people, but he didn't think of her because it was too unreasonable and impossible. "Gao Shi Dozai, do you know what you are talking about?" "Of course I know." Gao Shi Dozai looked at Lin Xian with complicated eyes. The Gao Shi family, keep their word. Since I have promised you, I will definitely honor it." "Wait a minute." Lin Xian stopped her from continuing. "I never said such a request. You must have heard wrong." "What do you mean? Are you humiliating me?" Jace Dozai exploded in one go. At that time, she heard Lin Xian making a big fuss outside not long after she was angry with Lin Xian. She went out and saw the farce, where Lin Xian showed his majesty and arrogance. At that time, she changed her mind about Lin Xian. Because she and Takaishi Mai both grew up under Takaishi Shuichiro, she had a deep affection for Takaishi Shuichiro, and when she saw him saying that he wanted to save her grandfather, her hatred for Lin Xian had almost dissipated by that time. When she heard the news that Shuichiro Takaishi had woken up, her heart was filled with great joy, but when she saw Shuichiro, he told her that the price for Lin Xian to wake him up was to marry her to Lin Xian. She couldn't tell whether it was accident, panic, or doubt that suddenly flooded into her mind. She was stunned on the spot and it took a long time to recover. At first she thought about struggling and rejecting this inexplicable marriage, but her parents came to persuade her. She didn't come to school for the past few days because she wanted to protest, but she still couldn't resist Shuichiro Takaishi's persuasion. Shuichiro Takaishi's persuasion was very clever. He did not persuade Takaishi directly, but told Takaishi Momo that the engagement was cancelled. He would personally apologize to Lin Xian in order to obtain forgiveness, and he would cancel the engagement even if he was still unconscious. What else can he say about Gao Shi Dozai? She had already made the determination to die when she came here, in order to fulfill this agreement. But now Lin Xian said that this was not the case. In her opinion, this was Lin Xian taking revenge on her for not abiding by the original agreement and humiliating her. "Why does this humiliate you? I really didn't say such a thing, and I don't agree with it from the look of you. There's no need for this. Are you saying that I didn't keep my promise before? If you don't let me fulfill this promise this time, I will jump from here." Gao Shi looked at Lin Xian angrily, determined to jump if he refused. Well, calm down first and give me Shuichiro Takaishi's phone number. I'll ask what's going on. Maybe it's a misunderstanding. Lin Zion felt that she was getting more and more excited. What if she turned around and jumped off later? Still have to stabilize her first. Tao Shi hesitated for a moment before handing over the phone. Lin Zion hit it as soon as he got it. Moses, this is the Takaishi family. A female voice sounded like Takaishi Mai. Get Shuichiro Takaishi over here. Excuse me, are you, you are the master. Go and find Shuichiro Takaishi for me. Lin Zion didn't care who she was. If someone wanted to play with him now, there was no need for him to be polite. Yes, Gao Shimei's panicked voice came to mind. She didn't know why Lin Zion was so angry. He was nothing like the person he was that day. Lin Zion glanced at Gao Shidozai and walked a few steps outside, away from her. It's Shigeki-kan Takaishi. Shuichiro's leisurely voice sounded. After that night, Shuichiro Takaishi and Tekkai Yukino chatted for a long time about Lin Zion, and Tekkai Yukino might not be able to say some things to his son, but he could say them to him. He also got a lot of news and opened the door to a new world. That's why he made this arrangement. What do you mean? I have no such request at all. Please explain this to Gao Shidozai immediately. What, you're still not satisfied? Do you want to marry Mai too? What did Grandpa say? Takaishi Mai's voice sounded from the side. Don't make trouble again. You should know who I am from Yukino Tekkai. He loves to play so much, so Lin Zion plays with him. If I marry Taoji, the next day she will be the only one left in your family. 1. Do you believe it? Hey, it's just a joke, don't take it seriously. Of course Shuichiro Takaishi has heard about his deeds from Yukino Tekkai, and also knows that he is a wolf slayer, so this time he is just an attempt. No matter whether he wins or loses, he will not lose any money. Humph. It seems that this incident didn't cause much harm to your family. Do you want me to find something for you to do? Lin Zion refused to give up. He was not a person who suffered losses. I was wrong, please listen to me first. Shuichiro Takaishi has been able to survive until now, so he is not a fool. He has already made preparations. Ma-yi, you go out first. Yes, Grandpa. Shuichiro Takaishi waited for Mai Takaishi to leave before saying, after this incident, I realized that there was something wrong with our family. I want to correct the mistakes, but something may happen to my beloved granddaughter, so I want to ask you to help take care of it. 1 or 2, of course, it is paid and will definitely satisfy you. No, I'm not interested in your family's troubles. Don't bother me if you have nothing to do. Lin Zionki doesn't care what excuses he makes, but it won't do if it annoys him. Also, don't do any petty tricks. I hate trouble, so I deal with troubles directly. I understand. Please give the phone to Mama Kai, I'll explain it to her. Takaishi Shuichiro had expected this outcome, so it was not surprising. Even a businessman with a good vision would not succeed in every investment. It's better this way. Lin Zion walked over and handed the phone to Mama Kai. Takaishi, hey, your grandfather is looking for you. Lin Zion was just about to listen to what the two people said, and there was a noise from the rooftop door behind, and then 4 people fell out from inside, and the scene suddenly became very quiet. Huh. Lin Zion looked and saw that it was Miyazaki Ri, Hasakawa Ryo, Odarina, and finally Tsuji Tomi. It's not strange that other people came, but why did Tsuji Tomi come? What are you doing here? Lin Zion's face was full of question marks. Aoni-chan, who is this woman? Odarina was the first to react, ran over and held Lin Zion's hand, looking at Takaishi Mama Kai with a vigilant face. I'm his fiancé. Takaishi Mama Kai put away the phone and walked over. Aoni-chan, she must be talking nonsense, you don't have a fiancé. Odarina shook Lin Zion's hand frantically. Don't shake it yet, I really don't have a fiancé. Lin Zion pulled his hand out of Reina's torture. Did that woman hear that? Uni-chan doesn't have a fiancé, you fake one. Oda Reina didn't care about Lin Zion anymore. My Retirement Life in Neon. Author, Wu Nangkuang Song. Chapter 167. Takaishi Momoji, how could it be you? Tsuji Tomi was still very surprised when she saw Takaishi Momoji, and was even more shocked when she heard that she was Lin Zion's fiancé. Because in her eyes, the status of the two people is as different as heaven and earth. It's not that she looks down on Lin Zion. If we talk about family background alone, even she can't compare with Takaishi Momoji, but she thinks she is prettier and smarter than her. Why are you here? Takaishi Momoji didn't expect to see Tsuji Tomi here. Are you going to compete with me for this too? Of course not, who would compete with you for such a thing? Tsuji Tomi quickly rejected it and pulled Hosokawa Ryo next to her. I came here with my friend. Oh Hosokawa Ryo, who was suddenly pushed out, looked at Takaishi Momoji. The person in front of her actually said that she was King Tian's fiancé. No, Qing Tian just denied it, so who is she? What does she want to do? A long list of questions occupied her brain. Why are you here? Lin Zion pulled Oda Rina to the front of several people. Rina had confessed just now that it was Miyaso Ri who brought her here, so it goes without saying that Hosokawa Ryo was brought here by Tsuji Tomi. But why did they come here? Hosokawa Ryo didn't know what to say now. Did Tsuji Tomi tell her that Lin Zion had an appointment with someone on the rooftop? Yo, you are flirting with your fiancé here by yourself, and you don't allow us to come over to take a look. Miyaso Ri looked like she didn't mind making trouble. She is not Uni-chan's fiancé. Before Lin Zion could say anything, Oda Rina jumped out to refute Miyaso Ri. Miyaso Ri was also very afraid of Oda Rina, so she had to smile awkwardly. I repeat again, I don't have any fiancé, this is just a misunderstanding, Lin Zion said with his hand on his forehead. It was troublesome enough for one Takaishi Momo. What did they want to do? Come to join in the fun? And you, Tomi Tsuji? Lin Zion put down his hand and said to her, I thought the misunderstanding between us had been resolved. What do you mean now? I just came to expose your true face, so that classmate Hosokawa would not be deceived by you. Tomi Tsuji glanced at him and said confidently. What misunderstanding do you have? Ryo Hosokawa, who had been thinking, suddenly asked. Hearing Lin Zion's words, Ryo Hosokawa suddenly remembered a question. Why did classmate Tsuji know where classmate Qing Tian had made an appointment? Didn't the two of them communicate all the time? New questions occupied her brain again. Tomi Tsuji was silent. She didn't think anything when she saw the photo that Lin Zion sent her, but she suddenly remembered that this was the legendary love letter. Thinking of this, she remembered Ryo Hosokawa, and told her about the umbrella that day. Of course, no one can tell whether she really remembered Ryo Hosokawa or just wanted to watch the show. You guys play, I'm leaving first. Lin Zion didn't bother to pay attention to them, they all wanted to make trouble. Hey! Wait for me. Oda Reina also ran out. The remaining three people looked at each other, not knowing what to say, and the scene became quiet. I have something to do, I'm leaving first. The protagonists have left, so there is no need for Miyaso Ri to stay. Tsuji Tomi, who is this girl? Takaishi Momo broke the silence. Hosokawa-san is your fiancé's girlfriend, Tsuji Tomi said with a smile. She would feel comfortable if she could make Takaishi Momo uncomfortable. Really, just a girlfriend? Takaishi Momo looked at the dazed Hosokawa Ryo. He likes this kind of person? His aesthetics are not that good, he must be better than her. Takaishi Momo thought to himself. It's a pity that she will not be soon. Takaishi Momo glanced at the two people. You can withdraw yourself. After she finished speaking, she left, not caring about the feelings of Hosokawa Ryo and Tsuji Tomi, and there was no need to care. Tsuji Tomi looked at Ryo Hosokawa, who was in a daze, and suddenly felt sorry for her. She picked up such a boyfriend, and a fiancé appeared after just a few days of happiness. If it were her, she would have quit long ago. Don't worry, Hosokawa-san, I will stand by you. Tsuji Tomi patted Ryo Hosokawa's shoulder comfortingly. This child is so pitiful. Ryo Hosokawa was not on the same channel with them at all. She didn't hear what Dozai Takaishi said just now. She was still immersed in her own fantasy. She thought of the reason why Lin Zion left his hometown. King Tian-san ran away from his hometown to escape from the family marriage and to seek true love. Even if this girl today is his fiancée, it was decided by both parents, not his original intention, otherwise he would not have escaped, and King Tian-san refused to admit it just now. Only I can give him true love. It seems that the other side is quite powerful. Ryo Hosokawa is ready to use the power of her family. If she doesn't fight at this time, she will lose. I have to say that Lin Zion really changed Ryo Hosokawa. In the past, she would never have thought of the power of her family. Lin Zion didn't know how they were, but he was very annoyed. No wonder he was restless after coming back. It turned out that the old dog Takaishi Shuichiro didn't intend to let him go. Now he has done this kind of thing, and a fiancé suddenly appeared out of nowhere. What a fiancé! If his father knew about it, he might come to beat him up overnight. Oda-Reina also felt that Lin Zion was a little irritable, but she just followed him silently and didn't say anything. Do those bad women want to deceive Oni-chan? At that time, Mayasori ran over and told her that Lin Zion had made an appointment and said that he would take her to join in the fun. At first she didn't believe it. After all, Mayasori was on her blacklist, but when she took out the chat records, Oda-Reina still went with her. Then she met those two people again on the way. She knew Ryo Hosokawa, but she didn't know the other one. Later, I learned from Mayasori that the girl was Tomi Tsuji and was the best person in their class. Looking at Tomi Tsuji's words and deeds, Oda-Reina thought she was not as good as her, but fortunately she just accompanied Ryo Hosokawa. But what's the matter with the fiancé suddenly appearing? If it's true, what should I do? Although Oni-chan said that he didn't have a fiancé, the two of them seemed to know each other, so what was their relationship? Oda-Reina now has a lot of questions, but she didn't dare to ask Lin Zion in his current state. What if she really gets angry? After thinking it over, Oda-Reina only has one solution. Lin Zion suddenly stopped, turned around and said to Oda-Reina, "Don't talk about this, understand?" Ah, Oda-Reina nodded repeatedly, "I know, Reina won't tell." My Retirement Life in Neon. Author, Wu Nangkuang Song. Chapter 168. Then you go back first, I'll go out for a while. Lin Zion is not a person who doesn't fight back when beaten. If you mess with him, you have to bear the price. Okay, then Oni-chan, be careful. They arrived home at another intersection. Oda-Reina knew that Lin Zion was sending her home first, and now she couldn't say anything, so she had to go home honestly. She knew very well that the most important thing she should do now was not to trouble Lin Zion, as pestering him would only reduce her goodwill. Okay, tell your mother not to wait for me to go back for dinner tonight. Lin Zion left after explaining. Now he wants to talk to Shuichiro Jasei in person. But when Lin Zion went there, the building was already deserted, and the inner courtyard not far away had begun to reopen. This old man actually guessed that I would go find him, Lin Zion muttered, looking at the small villa with the door locked. Lin Zion dialed Sui Wuhei's phone number from where he was. He must know something. Zion. Don't tell me yet, guess where I am now. Don't worry, I'm rushing over now. I didn't know Mr. Gaushi would be like this. We'll talk slowly when we arrive. The location has been reserved. Please Zion, please go there first. Sui Tek Kai immediately reported a room number. Right in the inner courtyard. Why, are you inviting me to dinner again? I don't dare to eat it. This meal is not something that an ordinary person like me can eat. Zion, please stop talking. I didn't know this would happen. I'm almost here. Let's talk in person. Even if it's me begging you. You better be telling the truth. Lin Zion put down the phone. His guess was indeed correct. Tekkai Yukino knew something, and it was probably him and Shuichiro Takaishi who worked together to trick him. But what is the purpose? Want to tie him to the boat? Probably not. They are all smart people and would not act so brainlessly. Moreover, Takaishi Momo was not attracted to him at all, and he did not show any interest in her. Why would Takaishi Shuichiro pick on Takaishi Momo? There were several girls present at the time, and even if Takaishi Mai was picked on, it would be more reasonable than Takaishi Momo. At least he raised her hand. It's best if Yukino Tekkai can give him a reasonable explanation, otherwise no one will be able to escape. It's still the same room, but this time there's signal. There's not even a place to sit, just a tatami. Although I know they are following the ancient style, it's still hard to accept. His table is very low, so you can only eat properly while sitting down. Yukino Tekkai didn't lie to him, he did come after a while, and it looked like he was rushing over, but he didn't know how much this attitude meant. Why does our school director Swai have time to treat me to dinner today? Lin Zion spoke in a weird and unabashed way. From what you said, I don't know about this either. Tekkai Yukino smiled bitterly. If Shuichiro Takaishi hadn't called him just now, he really wouldn't have known about this. I don't know, Lin Zion smiled. Who would believe this? You know how much you said to please your father-in-law. I really don't know. I didn't know he had done this stupid thing until Mr. Gaushi called me just now. Didn't I rush over to apologize to you? Also, my relationship with Mr. Gaushi is just that of a partner. Yukino Tekkai was also helpless. Shuichiro Takaishi ran away and told him about this before leaving. He threw this burden to him. Even he himself felt that Shuichiro Takaishi was sick and stupid. Come here, as a partner, you will help him stop me. Where is the old man? Tell him to come out and talk to me. Lin Zion didn't care what kind of relationship they had. I don't know where he went. Tekkai Yukino sat on the ground regardless of his appearance. If I hadn't been favored by him when I was young, who would have taken care of this matter? What kind of favor? I think it's a debt of love, Lin Zion said with a smile. Those things are in the past, don't mention them anymore. Swai Tekkai waved his hand. What can he not gain from his current position? It was indeed his fault that happened back then, otherwise he wouldn't have helped the Gaushi family so much, but affection will always run out. The rest is easy to say, but Shuichiro Takaishi asked him to comfort Lin Zion this time. This kind of work costs his life. At this point, their relationship was severed. Then what did the old man tell you? Lin Zion also regretted a little. If he had known earlier, he should not have done those fancy things, and just saved him and it was over. He insisted on playing, but ended up causing trouble with his fiancée. He said that the Jase family will be yours after he dies. Swai Wilhei looked at Lin Zion doubtfully. You don't have any agreement, right? I never said that. Lin Zion shook his head. Did something happen to the Gaushi family now? Lin Zion thought for a while, and Shuichiro Jaishi probably wanted to take advantage of the situation. The reason was that there was something wrong with the Jaishi family and he was looking for a successor. Problem? No, of course. Yukino Tekkai understood what he meant and explained, Mr. Takaishi has very strong control over there. He straightened it out 2 days after he woke up. Although the loss this time is not small, it will not hurt his muscles. Move the bones. Then why would he do this? There's no logic. Maybe he really likes you. Seeing Lin Zion calm down, Swai Wilhei laughed at him in turn. Believe it or not, I will tell GMA about you and Gao Shiwa tomorrow. Lin Zion smiled and said, let her know that her father is going to find a stepmother for her. Hey! Zion, don't be like this. I was just kidding. Yukino GMA has just recovered a little. If Lin Zion goes on like this, he will really want to die. Let's talk business. Ask him to come over and explain it to me. I will let it go. Lin Zian didn't want to make it more troublesome, so he just let it go. Okay, I'll call now. Seeing that Lin Zian was willing to give in, Yukino Wilhei hurriedly took his phone and went out. Not long after, Yukino Wilhei came back, and he brought someone with him. Takaishi Mamakai, and she was not wearing a school uniform but a kimono. She should have changed after coming back, and the makeup on her face was very thick, so thick that people couldn't recognize her. It looked like an Warren, but Lin Zian really couldn't accept it. What does this mean? Lin Zian asked Yukino Wilhei. She said she wanted to see you and was waiting outside just now. That's perfect. Wait for Takaishi Shuichiro to come and explain to her directly, so that she won't say I humiliated her again. Takaishi Shuichiro can't come. He's already in the car. Yukino Wilhei shook his head. He really left. Lin Zian was not surprised. His words just now were largely to lure him out, but he didn't expect him not to take the bait. Then explain it to Miss Gao Shi. Lin Zian's indifference didn't mean he was going to take the bait. I don't even know what happened. How do you want me to explain? Shuya Wuhai was also helpless. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. My Retirement Life in Neon. Author, Wu Nangkuang Song. Chapter 169. No need to explain, I already know. I came here to apologize to you, sir. Our Gao Shi family has troubled you. No problem. Lin Zian was not prepared for Gao Shi Dozai's sudden change in attitude. He didn't expect her to be like this. We will be responsible for your consumption here today. I hope you enjoy your meal. Gao Shi Dozai folded her hands on her waist, and with the kimono on her body, she had a very gentle feeling. Lin Zian thought of the irritable feeling he gave him when they first met. It was very different. Don't call me sir, Kong Mua or Qing Tian are fine, whatever you want. Lin Zian is a simple person who gets along with others. If others respect him 1 foot, he will respect others 1 foot. He and Gao Shi Dozai were both victims in this matter, so there was no need to vent his anger on her. Then I'll take my leave first, Gao Shi Dozai said and left the private room. Isn't this girl pretty good? What are you dissatisfied with? Shuya Wuhai muttered beside him. Takaishi Mai is pretty good, why don't you marry her? Lin Zian found that this black history is really useful. We agreed not to talk about this. Shuya Wuhai smiled bitterly. He might have to talk about this for the rest of his life. Neither of them was in the mood to eat, so they ordered a few dishes casually. Soon, the dishes came up, along with Takaishi Mamaji. Anything else? Lin Zian asked. To apologize, I'm here to serve you, sir. Takaishi Mamaji knelt down beside Lin Zian. No, go back and tell your grandfather that this matter is over, and tell him not to bother me anymore. Lin Zian has hands and feet, and he still needs someone to serve him. Isn't this a joke? Yes, Takaishi Mamaji just responded, and then there was no movement, still beside him. Lin Zian didn't care about her when he saw that she didn't leave. Eating was more important. Ani-I-chan is back. Odarina ran over to help him take his coat. Yeah, Lin Zian came back early today, not even 7 o'clock yet. Has Qing Tian eaten yet? If not, I'll go heat up the food and save your portion. Oda Michiko came out of the kitchen, still wearing her apron, probably washing dishes. Wash the dishes first, and I'll do it later. Lin Zian had eaten there before, in a more upscale place, where the food was delicious and made very delicately, but the portion was not good. He knew it was like this, and he didn't feel like eating at the time, so he just ate a little bit casually. Now that Oda Michiko mentioned it, he was really a little hungry. Lying in the bath, Lin Zian relaxed. He hadn't used it for a while, and now that he used it again, the feeling was still so comfortable. Today's story was really tortuous. He went to someone else's house and caused a lot of trouble. It seemed that Tsuji Tomi also knew Takaishi Momo. What was the relationship between the two of them? Qingtian classmate, let's go eat. Hosokawa Ryo came over with her things. Oh. Lin Zion took back his phone. Just now, Reina sent a message saying that she would not go to dinner with him and would accompany her friend. Alas, it's true that girls can't stay at home when they grow up. But it's okay. It's much farther to walk from the junior high school to the cafeteria than here. A big school is not necessarily all good. Hosokawa Ryo followed Lin Zion, looking up from time to time. For some reason, she felt alert. I say, Ryo. Lin Zion looked at her sideways. You don't have to prepare my portion in the future. Huh? Why? Is it not delicious? Hosokawa Ryo was stunned for a moment. What dishes does Qingtian like? I can cook them. That's not what I meant. Lin Zion explained to her the agreement between him and Yotsuki Hideki. Then why can't he eat it himself? Why should he give it to you? How should I know? Anyway, I don't have to bother Ryo in the future. Lin Zion sometimes doubted whether Hosokawa Ryo liked him. But he clearly realized that no one would like his sloppy appearance, and instantly eliminated this illusion of life. He felt that she was more looking for a safe haven, using herself to block others. After all, he was still a tool. As soon as the two entered the cafeteria, they heard the voice of Yotsuki Hideki. Qingtian, this way. Yotsuki Hideki waved to the two. Why did you change the seat? Lin Zion asked in confusion. In fact, not many people came to the cafeteria, so although the seats were not empty, there were still many seats. And the people who came to the cafeteria to eat were the same few people, so the seats were relatively fixed and generally would not change. Our seat was taken by someone. Yotsuki Hideki pointed in that direction obscurely. No need to point, that person is coming. Lin Zion looked at the person and said lightly, his tone was calm and a little strange. Huh? What should I do then? Yotsuki Hideki withdrew his hand in panic. He thought he was seen when he pointed over, and now he came to find a scene. Why are you in such a hurry? Sit down. Lin Zion ignored the person who came over and sat down first. Yes, Yotsuki Hideki sat down obediently. What are you doing here? Lin Zion asked curiously. I'm here to eat. Gao Shidozai came over with a lacquer box and was suddenly asked by Lin Zion. Come here and sit here. Lin Zion patted the seat next to him. He seemed to have found something interesting. Huh? Gao Shidozai didn't expect Lin Zion to say such a thing, even though he was resisting her yesterday. Why? You don't dare to come? Why don't you ask your sister to help you? She was very natural yesterday. Lin Zion smiled. You know, Gao Shidozai panicked. She was supposed to go yesterday, but she was in a bad mood and didn't go, so her father arranged for Gao Shimai to go for her. Unexpectedly, it was successful. According to Gao Shimai, Lin Zion didn't see the flaw and mistook her for Gao Shidozai. But why did Lin Zion say this today as if he knew it? You can use clothes and makeup to cover up your figure and appearance, but the biggest difference between you two is not this. You know what, she is much better than you at being the eldest daughter of the Gao Shi family. You are not fake, are you? You. Gao Shidozai's temper almost exploded on the spot. Fortunately, she held back, but she didn't want to stay here any longer, so she turned around and wanted to leave. Come here first. Lin Zion stopped her. What are you doing? Gao Shidozai turned around and looked at him angrily. Come, I have something to tell you. Lin Zion waved at her with a smile. Gao Shidozai hesitated for a moment but still walked over. Don't eat this. Lin Zion took the lacquer box from her hand. What do you mean? Gao Shidozai almost couldn't control herself again. Now she won't even give me food to eat? My retirement life in Neon. Author, Wu Nangkuang Song. Chapter 170. Lacquerware is poisonous. Who taught you to use it as a lunchbox? Lin Zian took Yotsuki Hideki's lunchbox and put it in her hand. Eat this. Yotsuki Hideki was stunned by his action. You did this in front of me. If I can't beat you, I will definitely beat you. Gao Shidozai took the lunchbox and walked away quickly. She didn't even notice that she blushed. How can I explain to my sister if you do this? My family has plenty of money. I won't covet a lunchbox from you. Lin Zian pushed the lacquer box in front of Yotsuki Hideki. Hey, this is for you. Look at the exquisite pattern. You've made a profit. That's not what I meant. Forget it. Let's eat. Yotsuki Hideki shook his head helplessly. After eating 2 meals for a few days, Lin Zian couldn't stand it anymore. It happened that Gao Shidozai was here. Isn't it good to make reasonable use of it? At least there is no waste of food. Hosokawa Ryo has been sorting out the conversation between the two people just now. First, Dozai Takaishi has a younger sister, and Qingtian knows her sister. Second, Qingtian met her sister yesterday, which means that Qingtian may have been to Dozai Takaishi's home yesterday. Third, the relationship between the two does not seem to be particularly bad, and they should have had contact before. Some information is known, but more is unknown. What is natural? Hosokawa Ryo silently wrote down this information. She will tell Odarina after she goes back. Yes, although it sounds a bit strange, she had already reached an agreement with Odarina last night. The two supervised Lin Zian's behavior at school and at home, exchanged information, and prevented Dozai Takaishi's invasion. After all, she was a fiancée, and the two had to join forces to exclude her first. For this reason, Odarina also agreed to many unequal treaties with Hosokawa Ryo, such as Lin Zian was hers at school, and Odarina could not come to sabotage. Didn't you see that Odarina didn't have dinner with Lin Zian now? Fortunately, Lin Zian was hers when he was at home, otherwise it would be a big loss. In fact, both of them knew that when they were in school, Reina Oda didn't spend much time with Lin Zian, and when they were at home, Ryo Hosokawa was not with him. The two seemed to be giving in, but they didn't change the status quo. This is also the reason why the two agreed. After all, there is a common enemy. They like to chat for a while after dinner before going back to the classroom, talking about the recent major events, some weird events in the school, etc., but what can happen in the school? Most of them are gossips such as confessions and who is a scumbag. I heard that the student union is going to elect a president. Didn't the student union president abdicate a long time ago? Why is the new president being elected now? You don't know this. Yotsuki Hideki explained the selection of the student union to Lin Zian. The president usually retires when he is promoted to the 3rd grade, and the new president will choose someone from within the student union. Moreover, the old president said that he retired, but he will still assist the new president. As for the election, it is even more troublesome. Not only do you need the recommendation of your seniors and teachers, but you are only qualified to enter after getting the recommendation. You also need to give speeches, canvass for votes, etc. This has nothing to do with us. Do you want to be one? Lin Zian interrupted him. It was useless to do so much, and he was not going. I want to go, but my strength does not allow it, Yotsuki Hideki said self-deprecatingly. Hosokawa Ryo and Odarina are the same. They just listen to the two of them bragging and usually don't talk much. Hey, this is back to you. Takaishi Momo came over and returned Yotsuki Hideki's lunchbox. Yotsuki Hideki was relieved to see the lunchbox back. If he dared to take the lacquer box back to hand it in, he would not see the sun the next day. Thank God. How is it? It's okay, Lin Zian was teasing her. Humph. It's just so-so. Haha, you really don't know what's good. This is made by Hideki's sister who poured out her love for her brother. And why are you like this? Gao Shimamaji looked at Yotsuki Hideki with a look of disdain. I didn't, I'm not, Yotsuki Hideki retorted in a low voice, aggrieved like a bullied young wife. Okay, no more playing, it's time to go back to the classroom. Lin Zion didn't tease him anymore. Since the lunchbox was returned, it's time to go back. The three of them got up and walked back, but Gao Shi Mamaji followed them. By the way, I still don't know what grade and class you are in. Lin Zion suddenly remembered that Gao Shi Mamaji was in this school, but he didn't know the detailed class. She is in class A, didn't I tell you before? She's in your class with that Tsuji Tomi. Yotsuki Hideki spoke more and more quietly because Gao Shi Mamaji was looking at him. Oh, if you hadn't told me, I wouldn't have known that she was one of the two biggest names in our school's first grade. Lin Zion looked very surprised, but his acting was very exaggerated. The two of them have made a lot of jokes with their dog-licking group. Lin Zion usually doesn't leave the class except for eating and going to the toilet, and is the last one to leave after school. He has never seen her. What do you mean? Gao Shi Dozai's mood, which had just improved a little, was gone. Nothing, I just think you are amazing, and you have the style of your grandfather at such a young age. If you have something to say, just say it directly, don't beat around the bush like this. Gao Shi Dozai is now almost full of anger. Nothing, I just think that the way you guys use other people's favor is a bit low level, wasting such a good resource. Lin Zion doesn't understand this kind of group. In his opinion, it's better to go home and sleep than to waste his time and energy on this kind of thing. And Lin Zion doesn't think that Gao Shi Dozai is that good looking. Although Jinji Tomi is flat, she is at least prettier than her. I really don't understand what these people are thinking now. If you don't agree, you can't say anything. It's obviously the same road, but Gao Shi Dozai and Lin Zion and others have walked another road. After Gao Shi Dozai left, Yotsuki Hideki came over. Qingtian, what you said is wrong. Others have their own activities. I heard that they enjoy being scolded by her. Oh, it turns out that they are a group of perverts. No wonder they are so matched. Did you listen to me? Don't say anything, this is for you. Gao Shi Dozai didn't take the lacquer box back. It would be a pity to lose it, and it would be impossible to return it to her in Class A, so Yotsuki Hideki had to be wronged. I don't want it. Your fiancé gave it to you. Yotsuki Hideki avoided Lin Zion and ran to Hosokawa Ryo before he dared to speak. Lin Zion now regretted telling him about yesterday's incident. Hosokawa Ryo returned home and ticked the day on the calendar. The guard was successful today.